Welcome to The Explainer. We're talking a naval blockade, oil prices skyrocketing past $100, and straight-up accusations of piracy. Yeah, the world is on a knife's edge. Today, we're going to break down this whole escalating standoff in the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, let's just jump right into it. We're on day 46 of this conflict, and Iran? They are not holding back. When they call the U.S. naval blockade an act of piracy, you gotta understand, that's not just fiery language. It's them throwing down a legal and diplomatic gauntlet. What they're saying is, this isn't a blockade. It's an illegal act of aggression. And that sets the stage for a really, really dangerous confrontation. So to really get why this is such a huge deal, you have to understand the geography here. The Strait of Hormuz, this isn't just any old strip of water. It is the world's most critical energy choke point. Think of it like the main artery for the entire global economy, and right now, it's being squeezed hard. And believe me, the whole world is about to feel that pressure. You know what's fascinating here is that it's like we're watching two completely different stories unfold at the exact same time. On one side, you have the U.S. enforcing this blockade, with President Trump even suggesting, hey, maybe Iran wants to work a deal. But then you flip over to the Iranian side, and they're calling it piracy. And for their people on the ground, it's not about deals, it's about dealing with damaged infrastructure and kids out of school because of strikes. It's just two totally clashing realities packed into one single crisis. Okay, let's talk about the first ripple effect from all this, because it's a big one. A massive economic shockwave. And it is already hitting people's wallets thousands of miles from the strait. And here's the clearest sign of that panic. Brent crude, that's one of the big international benchmarks for oil, it has shot past $100 a barrel. And that number, over $100, isn't just a number. It's a huge psychological and economic line in the sand. Just look at that jump. Check out the speed and the scale here. This is not some slow, gradual creep. It's a sudden, violent spike. And it's sparking some very real fears of a long-term inflationary shock. And what does that mean for you? Well, it means higher prices for gas, for shipping, for pretty much all your everyday goods. For everyone. So with that economic threat staring everyone in the face, we get to the second ripple. A desperate, urgent diplomatic scramble to pull everyone back from the brink. The whole world is jumping in now. But don't think for a second that everyone's on the same page. Nope. What you're seeing here is a world where every country is reacting based on its own self-interest. You've got Pakistan trying to be the mediator, using its connections in the region. China, which buys a ton of Iranian oil, is flat out condemning the U.S. Meanwhile, the UK and France are basically just focused on protecting their own ships. And then there's the UN pleading with everyone to please respect international law. It's a totally fractured response to a truly global threat. And even with Pakistan trying to get everyone to the table, the talks are hitting a complete brick wall. And it all comes down to two massive sticking points. First, how long would Iran have to pause its uranium enrichment? And second, who gets to manage the Strait of Hormuz in the future? Until they can solve those fundamental questions, a real breakthrough, well, it feels pretty far away. Now, this whole crisis isn't just happening in its own little bubble. Oh no. The tension in the Gulf is like pouring gasoline on another fire that's already raging next door, and it's pushing Lebanon dangerously close to getting dragged into a much, much bigger conflict. And this is where things get really complicated and fast. Get this. In a single 24-hour window, you've got deadly Israeli air raids hitting southern Lebanon. But at the exact same time, people are getting ready for these incredibly rare direct peace talks in Washington, D.C. It's this dizzying, confusing mix of violence and diplomacy happening all at once. And with all this talk about high-level strategy in politics, it is so important to stop and remember the real human cost, the stuff that gets lost behind the headlines. We're talking about a single strike, a single family, and a tragedy that can never be undone. And just when you see this little glimmer of hope with the talk scheduled, boom, this one-word rejection from Hezbollah comes in and threatens to snuff it right out. You have to remember, they're the most powerful military and political group in Lebanon. So from their perspective, a U.S.-led peace effort might look like a trap, an attempt to weaken them. So without some serious leverage of their own, getting involved is just futile. It's a really stark reminder of just how deep the bad blood runs here. So, okay, we've looked at the economic fallout, the diplomatic scramble, the regional fires. Where does this all leave us? The honest answer? It leaves us on a razor's edge, with the entire world just holding its breath. But here's a really critical detail that throws another layer of chaos into the mix.
The blockade isn't perfect. It's actually kind of leaky. We know at least 3 tankers, one of them a Chinese ship, have managed to get through. Now, what that tells us is that the U.S. doesn't have a total lockdown, and that could make Iran or its allies feel bolder, maybe challenge the blockade even more. And that just raises the risk of a huge miscalculation.
So this is the tightrope the world is walking right now. Think about it. You've got a naval blockade that's active but not perfect. You've got diplomatic channels that are technically open but they're fragile and going nowhere. And you have these other regional conflicts that are just getting worse and starting to bleed into each other. It's an unbelievably precarious balance.
And all of that leaves us with the one central question hanging over this entire crisis. You've got military, economic, and diplomatic pressure all colliding at once in one of the most volatile spots on the planet. So, is de-escalation even possible at this point? Or are we just watching the final, unavoidable countdown to a much, much bigger war?